Hi guys, welcome to week 3 of 3 for our grammar series here on the International Yankee English Study Saturday. So the first week was on fragments and the second week was on run-on sentences, and this week we will talk about comma splices, how to recognize them and what to do to correct them. So if you haven't watched the first 2 videos in this series, you can find the link in the description box below. And now we'll get started on comma splices. Let's go. Now, the question on everybody's mind, what is a comma splice? Let's take a look. When you have two main or two independent clauses, aka sentences, that are joined together with just a comma in the middle, that's what we call a comma splice. It's basically a comma splicing the middle of two sentences. The author knows that these two ideas are independent and there needs to be a space between them. Otherwise, it's a run-on sentence, right? So they throw a comma in there thinking, job's done, but that's not correct. So let's take a look at the first example here. Ashley's lessons are engaging. They are full of interesting ideas. When you're speaking, you can't tell whether the person speaking meant to use a comma or to use a different punctuation mark or to say two separate sentences. But when it's in writing, it's in black and white, and you can see night and day what they meant to do. The second example, Ashley's lessons are engaging. They are full of interesting ideas. Also not correct. That's an example of run-on sentences, which we covered last week on Study Saturday. So we don't want that either. Let's take a look at the third example. Ashley's lessons are engaging. They are full of interesting ideas. So this one, correct. Here we use a semicolon. So the semicolon gives enough of a pause, a break between the two main ideas, that it is a correct punctuation mark. It's kind of like a step further than the comma, but a step back from the period or full stop. So we know that the two ideas connect to each other, even though they are both in and of themselves independent clauses that could stand on their own. But for whichever reason, the author has decided to use only a semicolon and attach the ideas together. So the next one, Ashley's lessons are engaging, and they are full of interesting ideas. So this is also correct. We have the word and, which is preceded by a comma. So and serves as a coordinating conjunction, which will put these two ideas together. And then the use of the comma before the and makes it grammatically correct as well. The next example, Ashley's lessons are engaging. They are full of interesting ideas. So we have two main clauses or independent clauses written as two separate sentences, completely grammatically correct. So those three there that we've just read through, the semicolon, the comma, coordinating conjunction, and separating the two clauses into two separate sentences are the three main ways that you're going to think about correcting comma splices in your writing in the future. So the next one here, Ash's lessons are engaging, comma, for they are full of interesting ideas. For they are full of interesting ideas. It sounds a little bit special, certain juju about it. It is a comma followed by a coordinating conjunction. It is grammatically correct, and it is perfectly acceptable to correct your comma splice in this way. Ashley's lessons are engaging since they are full of interesting ideas. So the way in which since is used in this sentence, you do not need the comma before it. So I will do a separate video at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, on how to use the word since and why it is a little bit special sometimes. So in this aspect, you don't need the comma with since. And then the second one, since Ashley's lessons are full of interesting ideas, comma, they are engaging. Both are correct. Since is serving kind of as a replacer word for because in these sentences. So it's not quite following that same coordinating conjunction structure that the other coordinating conjunctions were following that required the comma coming before it. I told you guys about how to use a coordinating conjunction preceded by a comma in front of it to join the two main clauses together and to correct your comma splice. And here we'll look at fanboys. So this acronym will help you know what kind of coordinating conjunction you can use and when you have to place a comma in front of it. Make sure that you use a mixture of different kinds of sentences throughout your writing so it doesn't become dull and predictable. Make note. If the second clause follows an adverb, then a semicolon is required before the adverb. So let's say you said accordingly, you need semicolon, accordingly, and then a comma after it. So in the example here we can see, I realized I did not know how to correct my comma splice, semicolon, therefore, comma, I watched some YouTube videos on comma splices. Let's give it a try. Here are 5 sentences written as comma splices. Try to make use of more than one of the different ways that we've learned how to correct comma splices and comment your answers below. I hope you guys found this video useful and that you now know how to correct and recognize comma splices in your writing and the writing of others. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and then also to comment your answers to the practice exercises below, and please consider sharing this video with your friends and also subscribing to my channel. And I will see you next week for Study Saturday. Bye guys.